Hi, you're watching Floyd Steinberg's YouTube channel. Today, the Liberlive C1 Smart Guitar. This guitar-shaped electronic musical instrument was sent to me free of charge by Liberlive for review purposes. But I'm free to speak my mind here, so if you're interested, please join me in this video. Here we go.
Liberlive advertises this instrument as a stringless guitar, and I have some words to say about that later on. And on the webpage they have some promotional shots showing situations in which this instrument supposedly could be at home. There are also some positive reviews from bigger publications like Tom's Guide, Tech Radar and Rolling Stone, okay. The C1 comes in 4 different colors: black, white, green and pink. Sadly, the pink one wasn't available at the time of shooting this video, so I opted for the green one here. The parcel arrived within a couple of days only. There's a blurb telling you to download the iOS or Android app, more on that later. Inside the box you'll find a carrying case, a manual and a small box containing a carrying strap and a USB charging cable. The instrument itself is folded twice and extends from 40 x 17 cm to 80 x 27 cm when unfolded. Weight is roughly 2 kg or 4 pounds. The build quality is very good, which is to be expected for the asking price. The shell is very sturdy and the 2 hinges are tight and look well engineered. On the instrument's neck you'll find a wheel for note transposition and a fretboard-like rubbery keypad used for playing chords. On the side of the neck there are LEDs that show you which chord you're playing currently and the chord that's coming next in your performance. There's also a pad that lets you play a tambourine sound or start a backing track, and a pad that lets you pick individual notes of a chord. On the body of the instrument there's a speaker, 2 levers for triggering chords, a power button, line-out jack, a volume knob and the USB Type-C port for charging the internal battery. The battery will run this instrument for roughly 6 hours when using the internal speaker and up to 12 hours when using an external amp. While you can play this instrument without ever using the accompanying app, you'll definitely want to download this. Connection via Bluetooth is straightforward, and after doing that, you can set up the rhythm patterns for the 2 levers, the chords you want to play, and you can download pre-made songs to sing and play along to. Right, let's switch this instrument on by pushing down the power button for 2 seconds. And right away, I have to say, this speaker sounds fantastic. While it's still possible to tell this is not a real guitar you're hearing here, the engineers got the amount of bass and clarity you'd expect from a real acoustic steel guitar very, very close. Here's my Fender acoustic guitar picked up with a microphone. And here's the C1 picked up with the same microphone. This speaker should be perfectly fine for playing to a small crowd of people on the street or in a medium-sized room. If you need a bigger speaker, it's always possible to use that line-out plug. By the way, the acoustic guitar sound is the only guitar sound built into this, but you also get bass, drums and piano in the backing tracks. All the sounds are well recorded and pleasant to listen to on the built-in speaker. The instrument itself very much works like a Guitar Hero controller, if you remember those. Hold down the pads to select a chord, then move the 2 levers to strum. Pushing the levers only plays half of the movement, so you'll need to move the lever back to play the complete strumming motion. Like in Guitar Hero, this will sound awkward if you don't get the timing right. Using a setting in the app, you can switch the fretboard from a simple layout, which allows only for one chord per fret, to a more complex layout, which lets you pick minor, major and seventh chords. The instrument has two levers for two different strumming or picking styles, which can be set up in the app. You can also play single notes on the lowest pad of the instrument's neck. Tap one or more of the embossed strings for that. In theory, you can also actually strum a chord here. Using the drum pad, you can tap in the tempo of your song, just play a tambourine sound, or start a backing track by holding down this pad and pushing one of the strumming levers. The backing tracks will play back drums and bass and sometimes piano. Sound quality is quite good. Let's use the app to play a song. Simply choose a song you like from the list. The app will show the lyrics and the chords. Like in Guitar Hero, you'll need to play the right chords at the right time, using your left and right hand in sync. This is not as easy as you think, and I often found myself making mistakes even though I am able to accompany some pop standards on a real guitar. You are my fire, the one desire, believe when I say I want it that way. Well, and that leads us to the conclusion. So, what to think of this instrument? Whom is it made for? Let's be real here. This is not a guitar. This is a guitar-shaped synthesizer and arranger with a novelty user interface and a handful of high-quality sounds bundled in a sleek exterior. This instrument will teach you as much about playing an actual guitar as those Guitar Hero games back in the 2010s did. You'll learn some hand coordination and correct timing, but you'll never learn placing the fingers on the strings and frets correctly and actually playing a chord. You can't bend notes, you can't mute notes, slide notes, and you can't play anything outside the chords that can be selected in the app. Viewed as a synthesizer or keyboard, I'd mention two things I'd like to see updated in a potential Mark II model. While this instrument has a USB port, there is no USB MIDI function here. So while you can record the audio output into a digital audio workstation for further processing, it's not possible to play other electronic instruments or plugins with this. I guess this could be fixed with a firmware update. Also, the 6-string picking pad here. This works for what it was intended for, picking individual strings, but with a little bit of more effort, this could be updated to allow actual manual strumming, which would sound much more natural than the software strumming on the lever, which at times sounds awkward and mechanical. The problem here is that the rubber or silicone of the pads is kind of clingy, so it's hard to swipe your fingers across this area in a fluent motion, and I guess you'd wear down the embossed strings quickly if you kept doing this. Also, you'll cover the pad with loose skins and dust in no time, so in a future update, building this pad with a smoother surface would add functionality. Let's be real here, we all know that guitarists and real synthesists are probably going to sneer at this instrument. But those are not the target audience here anyway. So did I have a lot of fun playing this? Absolutely. Does the instrument sound great? Yes, it does. Once you get the hang of triggering the sounds correctly, you can pull off some very musical moves, and doing that is a skill in itself that takes some time of practicing. Is the instrument well built and easy to carry around with you? Another yes on that. To answer my initial question, I'd say this instrument is suited for people who can sing well and who'd like an instrument to play on while singing when their bandmates are not around. Liberlive claims this is an instrument for individuals who'd like to come up with accompaniment for their songs more quickly, and I kind of can see where they're coming from. Of course, you could use an arranger keyboard for all of this, but then you'd need a keyboard stand and a power plug in public. And yes, you could learn how to play a real guitar and strap a drum on your back, but then you'd still not have that bass and piano around. The C1 does all of that, and it does it well. Is that worth the admission price to you? Well, it's for you to decide, and I hope my video gave you the information you need.